All right, welcome to Master the Game. I am Juice. This is my new show called RPG Talk with Juice, where we try to have guests on within the community, whether they're designers, organizers, content creators, YouTubers, streamers, whatever. And today we have an awesome guest who's been involved in the community for many years, from doing YouTube videos to now organizing a convention called ConPlus, and that is Becky Rose. So, Becky Rose, tell us a little bit about you and your convention.
Hi, so yeah, I am most of the things you just listed at some point or another. Yeah, but like ConPlus 3 is because we're on our third one, so we're doing it a bit like a character sheet. You know, you got your con bonus, we're up to +3, so that's hence the name keeps changing every year, which does confuse a couple of our sponsors, actually, I have to say.
Oh.
You've rebranded again. No,
So, how many
just the
times?
number.
So, you just rebrand with the number, though, at the end, right? That,
Yeah,
that
yeah,
doesn't
yeah.
seem too hard.
You'd think. So anyway, so we're ConPlus 3 now, because we're coming up to our third one. This is a bit of a special one because normally we wouldn't actually run this until next November. But ConPlus has always been primarily focused on raising money for charity. And the charity that we supported last year and we wanted to support again this year is called the Butterfly Project. It's this amazing project, which I'll talk a lot about in a bit. And it's basically just a quick summary for now. It's a group of gamers in Uganda from the poorest parts of Uganda. I mean, this is a country where 80% of people die before the age of 30 under normal circumstances. And the project is a school that sort of takes some of the children from. Actually, I'm just going to go into telling about the charity now. Okay,
That's fine. Go for it.
The charity is a school that educates some of the children from the poorest areas of Uganda. So the slums of Kampala, the remote villages in the north of Uganda, and these are children that really wouldn't have any opportunities otherwise. They'd just be born into this world of violence, oppression, gangs, and so that kind of society.
Sure.
And of course, they would, without any other external influence, they would likely default to that. But what this charity does is it's a boarding school, and it takes these children, gives them a place to stay that's isolated from all of that environment. And gives them an education, tries to turn them into change makers in their local communities. And it actually gets them and supports them in running projects in their own communities to try and make things better. But what we really loved about this charity and the reason why we wanted to support it was once the school day's over, these kids are there at the project, they're staying at the project. So they use a lot of board games and role-playing games to kind of continue the education of the kids in the evening. So when you actually speak to these kids, they're giant nerds, just like us. So like you talk to them about their characters and like, what's your favorite monster? And most of them will say goblin. But there's a few, they've got different opinions on this stuff, and their favorite game amongst the younger players is 5th edition, but the older kids there, they prefer Pathfinder. So
Interesting.
and they're about to do a bit of Traveller at the minute.
Okay.
And they're just really awesome nerdy kids just like us, and if you give them these opportunities, which the project does, they can turn into individuals, which what the charity hopes is they go back to their communities and make a real difference, and the charity supports them through the process. Now that in itself was enough for us to want to support this charity, because they're gamers, they're kids that don't have any opportunity without this project.
Mm-hmm.
And we can make a real difference with this because it's a small project, and it really does. I didn't know this until after last year's convention, but we actually inadvertently saved the charity last year because
Oh, wow.
they're such a small charity.
Right.
They were impacted
Every
quite
dollar
badly.
truly makes an impact.
Yeah, they were impacted quite badly by the exchange rate difference, and because Britain going through Brexit and so on, and that their head office is in Britain, so their money donations, most of their donations are in sterling. And the exchange rate has been crashing because of the whole Brexit situation. So the charity didn't have enough money to function.
Mm-hmm.
And they were within about 6 weeks of closing their doors
Oh, wow.
when we held ConPlus 2. And that money actually saved the charity and kept it open. And this is the moment my laptop decides to try and do an update from Dell software.
Oh, no.
Dell, I hate you. This thing, I cannot uninstall it.
Right. I know what you mean. It usually does that to me too. Mine probably be like 5 minutes after yours.
This with like Windows Update, it does it during shutting down, doesn't it? This is now,
Right.
it's just, and the thing is, you can't move it or minimize the window. It is forcibly there. So it's now vanished. It's going to, I don't know what it's going to do.
Uh-oh. If we lose you,
Oh.
just click the link as quick as you can.
I'll come back if I have to. So yeah, I mean, but the situation, of course, this year is very different. The whole COVID,
Yeah.
state of the world. Hang on, I found a thing I can close on this thing because it's actually deciding to scan processes. Hopefully, I'm still connected.
Yeah, you're good. You're good.
Yeah.
No worries.
Okay.
So,
Right.
have you been in contact with the organization
Yes.
then? And
Yeah,
how is that affecting
absolutely.
them right now?
So the situation in Uganda with the actual outbreak isn't too bad. Like, they've not had that many active cases in Uganda,
Mm-hmm.
but what they have got is a very strict lockdown.
Mm-hmm.
To the extent that, if you're caught out in public, the police will treat you as performing attempted murder.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So it's a very strict lockdown. And what that
Sure.
means is people can't go to work.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the government is saying, no, this is fine, we'll deliver food to the door, but they're ignoring the poorer areas. I say ignoring, maybe it's because there isn't enough or whatever the reason is. I don't want to speculate on that. But the slum areas and the villages in the north of the country, they're not getting anything.
Ooh.
So the centre, most of the children, to comply with the rules, most of the children have gone home,
Mm-hmm.
but there's still some at the centre. So the charity is supporting them financially, the children that have gone home, and also paying for their internet connections so they can keep in touch and monitor the situation and so forth.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a lot of the kids, that's fine for the kids in the remote parts of the country, but for the children who live in the slums of Kampala, what's happening is there are the families who live in the slums, whether their kids go to the centre or not, they can't work,
Right.
and they have nothing. And
Getting no food.
There is no food. It's just
Right.
point blank, no food. So the centre is now putting together food packages to try and feed as many people as it can.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, that's a big financial strain on a very small charity.
Right.
And they contacted me. Let me see. We've got about 3 weeks to the convention now. I think so. It would have been 3 weeks ago. I know it was 6 weeks before we set the date. And there's a very
Right.
specific reason why we set the date as 6 weeks from that moment that they contacted us.
So what's the specific date and range? Like when's it start? When's it end?
So the convention will be May 16th to 17th.
Okay.
And the reason for that is because that is the point at which the charity runs out of money and has to close its doors.
Right.
So
is this really like Con 2.5? No, I'm just kidding.
in a way, it kind of is, except we're basically what Jason and I would normally do is we go around the big conventions over here and we go and speak to sponsors and we like film interviews and so on. And we prepare this for the whole year.
Mm-hmm.
But of course, there has been no gaming conventions over here that we've been to yet, so they're all closed down. So we haven't had that at all.
Right. Which you guys have done a great job with that. Like I remember tuning in last year, again, you said it was November, which now I'm like, okay, that makes sense because I felt like it was just yesterday. But I remember tuning in and you guys had the interview.
Yeah,
you guys did a great job with how you put it all together online in a nice, pretty package for viewers. So
yeah, it is something that with like Jason and I just spent most of the year preparing, but this time we hadn't. We'd actually been trying to organise our own wedding, which got cancelled because of the lockdown. And we left the convention. We thought, no, we'll do our wedding first, then we'll do the convention. So of course the wedding didn't happen anyway, but the So we hadn't even started planning when the charity came to us and said, we've got a real problem because all of our normal fundraising we can't do. And what's worse is because the school's closed, they've lost a lot of their gift aid money. And right now they need extra money to try and save lives.
Okay.
Because we're seeing what I fear might be the start of a big famine.
Right. So we're getting in some really important questions. So Charles Cole says, what type of help is needed? And Rollstat says, is there a way to make additional donations other than supporting the con? Is there a website, a GoFundMe, or anything like that?
Absolutely. If you go to our website address is conplus.live, so CONPLUS.live. If you go there, you can make a donation. That donation goes directly to the charity.
Okay, great. And how much have you guys raised for them before?
I haven't looked at it today actually, but I last looked at it was about £4,600. So in dollars, that'll be roughly 6,000-ish.
Nice. That's a good chunk for sure.
Yeah.
And you've only had a couple years doing it, right? 2 years.
Well, the first year we actually raised money for somebody else.
Okay.
Because our convention grew out of a convention called Brigade Con, which I believe you used to go to as well.
Yeah.
And basically what happened there is the organizers of Brigade Con just didn't want to do it anymore for reasons I won't go into, their own personal stuff. So
sure.
They decided to stop. And we said, okay, look, we can run a convention. And so we put together ConPlus One. They didn't want us to use the same name, so we didn't do that. But we thought, well, let's do a different convention instead. But to keep some consistency, we still supported the same charity. Now that charity was Child's Play. So we raised, I believe it was $2,949, which I still kick myself over because if I knew it was $51 shy of $3,000, I would have put it in myself at the end.
Right. Yeah, no, I get that.
Yeah, but so what we essentially do though, and what's different about this convention is, because it's online, and we used to the first two conventions we did gaming, and you could play games and you could organize them through the website. But what we found over the years is people aren't that fussed about playing an online game through our website. People do online games all year round, and the people who do that don't need a website to pop up once a year and say, host your game here.
Right.
So we're quite happy for people to run games, and please do, and maybe get all your players to make a little charity donation. That'd be awesome. But what we do is, for our main event, is we do a prize giveaway. Okay. So we speak to everybody we can in the industry, and we give prizes away. And all you have to do to win prizes is watch our stream with Jason and I, and usually Lloyd. He can't come this year because of the lockdown, but
sure.
We stream non-stop for 24 hours, giving away prizes. So last year we had, I think it was just shy of 400 prizes, and it was like around 600-ish things, because some of the prizes were multiple things. And these go all the way up to, from the smallest bag of dice right up to, we had a fully painted 3D resin dungeon that was huge, absolutely massive.
Wow.
That also came with, that was from D&B Games. It also had a voucher for Thomarillion, who's like a dungeon decor shop. And it came with bucket loads of Reaper Bones miniatures. So you had orcs and hobgoblins and every other conceivable possible encounter you could imagine. Dozens upon dozens upon dozens of miniatures, all as one prize. So, I mean, it was the star prize, admittedly, that I'm talking about here. But,
right.
So, and we've got similar things that we're putting together for this year's convention as well.
That's awesome. So, wow, 400 prizes, you said, right?
That was last year. It can't be as big this year because the lockdown situation means actually a lot of our contact book, we contact them and they're just shut.
Yeah.
But we've been working hard on getting lots of new sponsors to fill that gap. And
Sure.
the situation at the moment with some firms not even open, it
Mm-hmm.
has made it a little harder to get hold of people.
So do
Um,
people, when they're doing this, do these companies send you everything and then you ship them out to the winners?
that's usually what we do.
Whew, that's a lot of work.
It actually can take me a couple of months after the convention to send the last parcel.
Right.
And that's also,
And you
I
pay
pay
for that
myself.
yourself.
I
Yeah.
do. That doesn't come from donations. I pay for that myself, but I have some great people that support me on Patreon to help me do that.
Nice.
And the first year I used my entire history of my Google AdSense account from my YouTube channel,
Mm-hmm.
which I didn't realize this at the time. See, I thought, oh, I've got a channel here that makes a little bit of money, This
Like
is all
$100
right.
every couple days or a couple months.
No, it wasn't that much, but it was doing
Right.
okay. But anyway, it turned out years ago I had made these 2 videos for another YouTuber.
Mm-hmm.
I had them uploaded on my channel as unlisted things. They were little comedy skits, and he put them in at the end of 2 of his videos. It was like a collab thing we did.
Okay.
Right. Anyway, after I'd withdrawn all the AdSense money out, I found this thing on my account that said, "Oh, I've actually got a copyright claim against his videos where he's used them. It had automatically done it within YouTube." So I said, no, these are his videos. So I released the claim, and since then I've barely earned a penny. So all my money was coming from these 2 videos of his.
So Becky, we have a wonderful gentleman in the chat. I've had him on here before. His YouTube channel is Roll Stats. He said his agency would be happy to provide some pro bono marketing work for either the convention or the charity directly. So when this is over, go to Twitter, find Roll Stats, and send him a private message.
Okay, cool. Yeah, if you can, if you go to, I'll give you a Gmail address. I don't mind giving it out. It's for the convention anyway. So ConPlus team as one word. So ConPlusteam @gmail.com.
Perfect. I just sent that out.
Email me on that. Where was I anyway? So
sorry, I got sidetracked.
I pay all the postage. So but this year, because of the lockdown, it's not going to be possible for me to post parcels and going backwards and forwards and stuff like that. So we've got a couple of things here in the studio, but a lot of stuff will be sent direct from the publishers.
Great.
We're doing a lot more PDF stuff this year than we've done previously. I mean, we always take PDFs and always have PDFs to give out, but where possible, we're saying, can we do PDFs this year rather than a physical prize? And there's some places where their warehouses are shut and they can't send things out, but they still have PDFs, so they're still supporting us. I mean, there's Modifius is a company that's not even open, but they're still backing us this year with PDF prizes. So
nice.
It's fair play to them.
I'm assuming on your website you have a list of all the sponsors this year, correct?
Yes, but I'm updating it every couple of days, and since I updated it this morning, there should be 2 new ones in there. So.
Great. No, that's good though. So
yeah,
check back frequently.
Yeah, if you go to the section prize giveaway list, that's got all the confirmed data reasonably up to date, but we are still building that list right now. So, and I think we've got, just shy of 40 sponsors at the moment so far. We had, I think it was 58 last year.
Right. That's a good chunk.
Yeah. Beating last year will be difficult because we did break the record for the biggest ever RPG giveaway.
Wow. Ever? Like anywhere?
As far as I'm aware, nobody has ever given away that much stuff in 24 hours before. When we actually did the mass, I kind of didn't think about this until the morning, and I thought, hang on a minute, how quickly do we actually have to give stuff away? And I kind of crunched the numbers, and it was something like every 4.7 minutes we had to do a giveaway. And then I thought, well, that's great, but when you remove the fact that we don't really give much away in the first and last hour, and we have a couple of films that we drop in here and there, because we need coffee, and it actually worked out something like, I believe it was 3.6 minutes. So every 3.6 minutes we had to do a giveaway.
Wow, that's crazy.
if that had been ConPlus 1, that would have been easy.
Right.
Because we were just doing, everyone type a number in chat, we put a dice down, we put this 5-sided dice into a dice tower, and the last person to type that number would win the prize. But at ConPlus 2, we tried something a bit new, and I don't think anybody has ever done something quite like this before. But we had this 3D dungeon, computer game type dungeon thing, and anybody who took part in chat would get this gladiator in the dungeon.
Mm-hmm. I loved this last year. I loved seeing that. I was so excited.
You did appear in it. So you, just by taking part in the chat, you get this gladiator in the dungeon, and if you would then have this battle, and the winning gladiator would get the prize. Now, last year, that was something that was cobbled together out of some old code I wrote years ago, and it was basically a couple of weeks' work. It really was just a prototype.
Right.
So we had no idea how it would run, or how long the fights would take, or anything like that. We kind of thought, well, we're just going to have to do what we can. And actually, there were a couple of prizes that just got bundled in with other things and stuff. And Modifius, again, I've already shouted them out once this stream, but they very kindly said, don't give our stuff away as a prize fund giveaway. We'll just give it to the Hall of Fame people. So we have this Hall of Fame thing at the end of the convention, where it's people like, I don't know, chatted the most, stuff like that, random things, and you just so they put a prize on for that this last year, which is great, rather than doing a giveaway. So so thank you for that, Modifius. But the what we've done this year is I've actually had a bit of time to do some code, especially once furlough started. So we've actually got we've kind of written a real thing this year, not just a cobbled together thing out of old code. This has been completely rewritten. We've updated the graphics, and it's kind of cool. And I can actually show it to you.
Oh, cool!
I actually have it all set up and ready to run.
Oh,
so do you want to see it?
Yes, I do. Is this the full screen thing you said?
Oh yeah.
Okay, hit it. Awesome.
Okay, so this is, hopefully this will work because we're doing this through a Zoom call, so you're not going to get sound. We do actually have sound for this as well. But if I hit the begin thing, now what will happen on the real convention is every gladiator you'll see will be somebody taking part in the chat. For this, I've just sort of created some, just put some data in myself by hand. So what should start happening now, if my computer is running quickly enough at all? Please work.
It's those Dell updates.
All right, you might notice the doors have started opening. It could well be actually. There we go. There it is. So we've got some gladiators coming into the arena now. So here's Master of the Game. You've got a gladiator called Talavus, apparently. These are all the research I did on names. So May 16th to 17th is there. Pair of Geeks is the YouTube channel that you need to go check out the live stream on. And of course, we've got the ConPlus 3 gladiator there as well. So what these guys are doing is they're going to battle it out to try and win this battle. There's our arena champion representing the Butterfly Project. And hopefully the camera will cut back. There we go. So now we've got a battle going on. Those red splodges are what we call the liquid of demonetization. And so somebody's down already. So we've got Master of the... you are unfortunately stuck between me and the convention at the moment. We're hacking you to pieces. And
that seems unfair.
It does seem a little unfair. I did give you the biggest gladiator. Scorpion's being killed. It looks like I might actually be fluking this one myself as I fight the convention.
We'll see if it's rigged or not.
I've done it. I won. Sweet. So there's me celebrating the victory. And so what's going to happen now? And because I'm such a nerd, I've actually coded all of the stuff that happens between the battles as well. So I'm actually walking out of the arena here. Some of those gladiators might be too wounded to continue, so they're going to walk out of the arena as well.
Oh, nice.
Then what will happen on the night is new gladiators will come in. And what it's done here is it has actually created a couple of new gladiators at what we call Tier 0. So here's the victory coming onto the victory podium. I do a little salute there. And then the next battle will start, and we do the whole thing all over again. And I can do a little. Oh no, it's Oh, I messed up. Sorry, that shouldn't have said KOZ. It was supposed to do a shout out to you there.
Oh, that's okay. That is
Never
great.
mind. And so, you know, basically that's how we give the prizes out. And it seems pretty quick when you've got like 4 gladiators there, but when there's 50 people, it's a completely different story. We've got a
Right.
different monster this time. We appear to have a rhinoceros in the arena.
This is so awesome. Like, I love
Yeah.
this. I could watch this for hours.
Okay, well, unfortunately, I'm actually going to cut it off there and
You
go back
should.
to your other two.
Save it for the
Because
stream.
exactly, you'll have to check it. But there are a load of Easter egg. I've done some pretty fun things for that.
I love it.
Yeah. So, but the thing is, like when we first ran this last year, I actually remember like I was still writing code to make it work in the morning. I had to pick Lloyd, one of our presenters, up from the train station, and sort of bring him to my house where we film everything from. And I was late picking him up because I was still writing code because I suddenly realized I had no way to actually load the gladiators from the website and actually get them to our computer where we run this game on.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing I had written, I'd written it in this language called Windows PowerShell. I could not get it working on my other half's computer, which is the most powerful computer we have. So that's one we stream on. Because he's like got Windows XP or something. He's refusing to update.
Yeah.
So I had to kind of write something in another language. So when we first hit go, we had no idea if it would work.
Oh no!
Generally,
But it did.
It worked, but it was slow. It was really slow. And I was during the convention, I was writing code trying to speed this thing up whilst presenting for 24 hours.
Right.
And one of the things that can only happen when you're doing things live is that our website couldn't handle the traffic either. Like the traffic we were getting was too much, which unfortunately did cost us donations last year. Right. So we sorted all that out for this year, hopefully.
Do you know how many people did visit your site last year?
No idea.
Oh, okay.
It just kept going down.
So how do you improve that? You just somehow increase the bandwidth, or?
Yeah, well, yesterday actually, I spent the day moving it onto a much more capable computer.
Okay.
So, because the problem is these things cost money, but I pulled in a favor from an old industry contact that basically I'd given them loads of business over 10 years, and I said, look, I really need something. It's for charity. Can you do me a solid? And they really have come good for me. And I said I'd pay, but please don't make me pay much. So they're making me pay £6.75.
That's it?
That's it.
Wow.
But they've given me this fairly decent machine. So hopefully this year things will run smoothly. It's already, the site's so much faster. So
nice.
I'm really pleased with that. So thank you. I should probably shout them out, but they're not paying for that. So.
If you want to, I don't have a problem with it.
Well, it's a company called KDA Web Services. I believe their website's Protexia something or other. Anyway, so they're the ones who really helped me out with it. So
that's cool. Yeah. So when you're doing these presentations, you have little clips that sometimes you put in there, almost like advertisements for the charity, correct? And then you insert some other little clips here and there. What all can people expect to see?
Well, usually for a normal ConPlus event, when we get the sponsors, one of the things we do is we go around the big trade halls at the conventions, as mentioned earlier, but we do it with this really big camera. Like it's a proper shoulder-mounted thing, giant matte box on the front, completely unnecessary. Like I would much rather go around with one of those little, I don't know, DJI Osmo things that are just like a handheld 4K fully stabilized camera.
Little gimbal.
Yeah, you know, one of there's some really amazing cameras you can get now that just don't look like they ought to be professional quality, but they are.
Right.
But what we do is we go around with this camera that looks impressive, and that's important because we actually sometimes get sponsors chasing us down the aisle. They don't know their sponsors yet. By the way, is my frame rate coming through okay? Because my computer's still struggling to.
Yeah, you're doing fine. There was only a couple hiccups, but no, I think everyone's getting the message.
Yeah, on my end, it's my computer can barely cope with things. So,
gotcha.
So yeah, so we go around with this big camera where it kind of gets attention and really makes us kind of look professional. And we say, look, we because all they want to do is kind of speak in front of camera, get on as many things as possible, get themselves publicity. They have
They're like, the
no
news
idea
is here.
yeah, this camera really does look the part. So we kind of we say, yeah, and the whole time that they can see the camera, but before they get on camera, I tell them about this charity and what we're doing and stuff, and they go, and so we've got their attention with the camera, but now I'm pulling at the heartstrings, and now they feel too bad to say no. So,
Right.
So that's kind of how we pick up the sponsors. It's show them the carrot and then give them all the guilt.
Right.
So, but the problem is with all the conventions being closed this year, we haven't been able to do that. So at the moment we don't have any. I think we've got 2 interviews filmed.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to try and do some via Zoom, a bit like we're talking now.
Yeah.
But the thing is, like, we started preparing this 3 weeks ago, and I still had to finish that 3D game. So
right.
I still got about 1 more day's work just to tie things off.
Yeah.
But obviously, I'm not alone. I do work with Jason, who's been dealing with a lot of the sponsors so far. So, so we haven't got as much footage to drop in this year, which means it'll mostly be me and Jason on camera for the 24 hours.
Right.
I filmed the guy who founded the charity. I went over to his mother's house over Christmas and filmed an interview with him there, because obviously he lives in Uganda, but his mother is actually not too far from where I live.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I filmed an interview there, and bless her, she had no idea what was going on as I turned her lounge into essentially a television studio with the lights and the camera and everything else. There's this interview bit where she just kind of wanders down, goes into the kitchen, makes herself a cuppa, then sits down in the background, gets her laptop out.
Just oblivious to what's going on, kind of. That's great.
She had no idea, bless her. But it's quite surreal when I was finishing off the edit for it the other day, because there's a Christmas tree in the background.
Oh.
Which feels a bit out of place given what's happening in the world now.
Right. Hey, my mom leaves her Christmas tree up year round.
Really?
So all year. She never takes it down. There's no reason to, but it's always up.
That does save setting it up.
Yeah, she says it makes her happy. So hey, if it makes you happy, whatever. Hey, we heckle her about it all the time, because you have to do that.
I did see on the local news once there's apparently this guy that makes Christmas dinner every day.
Every day?
Every day?
Does he do a turkey or a ham? Because that's turkey. Completely different. Yeah, that's crazy.
Turkey.
That's 4 hours.
I know, madness.
Oh, I couldn't imagine doing that. I couldn't do that for a job. That would be ridiculous.
Yeah, no, not me. So anyway, so we've got a lot less infill this year, but we do have some stuff. But we need some stuff, as I say, because like when you're going non-stop for 24 hours, your voice can't cope with that.
Have you considered reaching out to other companies that aren't RPG related for the charity, like maybe even to help you with the streaming aspect of it?
Well, we couldn't do that during lockdown anyway, but
sure.
I think on the streaming side, I mean, we kind of, because I was a hobbyist in anyway, like we've got so much gear, like we have 4 live cameras when we're going live. We have a handheld, we have a couple of tripods. So
you now have a computer that works right from your friend.
I bought a new computer for Jason before last year's convention, like as a Christmas present.
Right.
So we have a decent machine. My own computer is terrible. I'm actually using my work laptop tonight.
Gotcha.
Which was doing fine until the Dell update started.
That's how it works. That happens to me. I get it. It always happens when I'm about to stream my Wednesday game or one of my Saturday games. I get the Dell update about a minute before I go live.
Just no stopping it, is there? And it just goes on screen and you just can't move it.
Yeah.
It's just...
I miss my HP laptop being my good one. Because that one I didn't have that problem on. Just Dell.
Yeah. Yeah. But anyway, so like I don't personally own a very good computer, but luckily Jason's is up to streaming it. It's like it's a pretty decent machine. So,
Right.
um, but of course, because we're running a 3D computer game, if you think about it, if you were on your computer running a 3D game,
I can't
but
do it.
also running in 4 high definition video feeds into
Mhm.
it and broadcasting one, which means encoding it as well. That's a
Mhm.
lot of work for a computer to do over 24 hours.
Mine
With
is. I
all the
bought
other
this
media
computer
assets.
last year, and I can't handle that. I don't even think I could handle Roll20 with all my stuff going.
So hopefully it'll work fine, because that's actually what
Fingers
you've just
crossed.
seen is the first time that game has actually been live streamed anywhere.
Right. That's
Um,
cool.
so I was hopeful it would work.
The chat seemed to like it too. Lord Morbius said awesome graphics. So a lot of people seem to like it.
Yeah, the graphics are awesome. Apart from the hair on the men, it's really bad, and I know that's going to become a running joke during the last year. Because before the graphics update, and we didn't have lots of different weapons. You basically the way it works is you get a gladiator of a certain tier, and if you donate to charity, you go up a tier. But when you won a prize, you went back down. So
Mm,
it's not exactly pay to win because it is incredibly random. But
right.
obviously you've got a better chance if you've got a better gladiator.
Sure.
Um, and it's all for a good cause, etc. So it's sort of tiny little bit pay to win. But the the lower tier gladiators had this truncheon. At least that's what it was meant to be. But during the stream, Jason, who we're broadcasting with, the commentator, he says he started saying, and he hits him with the breadstick. So this truncheon became a breadstick. So now this year we've got really good graphics, and we have that. There's something like 70 different weapons you can have. I think it's 68.
Do you start with a breadstick?
You start with a truncheon that looks a
You should
lot,
have made it
it
a
looks really
breadstick.
good. We've called it a breadstick. Officially in the back end, it's called a breadstick. Like, we've got, like,
Nice.
the thing is, because this year I've had the time to kind of really do a kind of a proper game, as it were, sort of.
Right.
It's still a little bit rushed in places, specifically with the hairs. But the way we're doing it, we actually have a full equipment slot system. So a bit like you were playing an MMO, where you can buy shoulder pads and new arm stuff and
That's
new
awesome.
leg items and so on. And every single item, I think we've got 205 items. Every single item is 3Dized. You actually see it on your gladiator.
Nice. See,
Right?
that's cooler than anything. Like, I don't even care about the prizes. Like, if I've got some money to blow, like, I'm totally gonna just buff up my gladiator how I want.
Yeah,
Like,
totally. Like, some of it's just cosmetic. It's like,
right.
oh, you can have a different color legging or something. But
It
some of
looks
it's got
cool.
stats on and what have you.
My
There's
wife,
mages as well.
she plays Dragon Age. We both do, and she will choose armor and stuff not based on the mechanical benefits, but based on how it looks.
Yeah,
So,
yeah,
so I get
totally.
it.
And it's like the stats in Prize Fighter. I mean, yes, you technically have a better chance if you have a high tier gladiator, and they will kind of win most of the fights. But it's a very random thing. Like, if your high tier gladiator gets stuck between 2 people, they're dead.
Yeah.
Right? So it's incredibly random, especially when you've got an arena with lots of gladiators in.
Mhm.
Um, so yeah, it's very random. So it mostly is about the cosmetic.
Mhm.
So there's a number of different looks I put in. Um, and what we've done this year, we wanted the gladiators to feel a lot more personal. So
Mhm.
being a huge nerd, I spent a couple of weekends researching names, like actual names for different cultures that were around at the time of the Roman Colosseum.
Mhm.
Um, so you can have Etruscan gladiators, you can have Andalusian gladiators, Gaul and Thracians and stuff. And I've been a right nerd and got and coded all the names that are correct. Now, the one disclaimer: Thracian names are meant to rhyme, and I didn't know how they were said, so I didn't put that in. But
Gotcha.
other than that, they're all like genuinely real names that I
Right.
spent weekends researching this stuff. But then I was looking at the graphics that I've been given, or like I had for this. They all originally came from a computer game about 10 years ago, and I'm starting to put these different ethnicities in, and I'm thinking, well, it's ridiculous to me that I've got far too many white-skinned gladiators, given that this is supposed to be the Colosseum.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't, in the engine, I didn't have any mechanism of changing that. So I spent 2 months recoding the 3D engine at the start of this year to support darker skin tones.
Okay.
But I haven't yet had a chance to draw all the graphics. So I've only got one slightly darker skin tone on the male mesh, and haven't yet had the chance to do it on the female. But maybe if I get time before the convention, I will finish it. But yeah, that was 2 months of work just to code support him for something that I still can't use.
How many battles do you think are going to be taking place over that 24 hours?
Well, it's one per prize. So when I looked a few days ago, I think we were on about 75. So I think we're going to have over 100 by the time we get to the con. I'd like it to be over 150, but we'll see.
That's cool.
But one thing, for anyone who saw it last year, by the way, there was a limit of 10 gladiators because, like I say, it was all based on this really old MMO that I'd failed to write many years before, and it had a memory problem in the graphics pipeline that basically curtailed the project. But I found that I could get it to work provided I didn't have more than 10 gladiators. Well, this is a whole new 3D engine that I've created. Actually, I've written it in the web browser. And it has technically no limit on the number of gladiators. Our limit is the performance of the computer that does the streaming. Now, I think I can get 25 gladiators in before I start cutting the graphics back, and I should be able to run up to about 75 at once, which is bedlam.
Yeah.
It's absolute bedlam, because when the spells are going off and chain lightning and fireballs and stuff, it's just insane.
I can't wait to see it. I really can't.
And we'll be running that, like I say, like throughout the 24 hours. Because honestly, if we don't give prizes away, we have very little content.
Right.
So we have to give prizes away.
You'll just have to start playing role-playing games in the background.
Yeah. Well, we'll take a bit of time out from time to time, because it's like, do some audience chat and so forth. And obviously we're talking to the guys out in Uganda. Actually do send us some footage we can use. And one of the guys out there, actually there's a YouTube channel everyone should subscribe to, because one of the children he's been trying to get a YouTube channel off the ground, and he's doing board game reviews.
Oh, cool.
And it is actually one of the kids from the project.
What's the channel?
It's called Friday Night in Uganda or Friday Night Gaming. I should remember this. I'm afraid I don't. It's one of those two.
So we have Ben Parkinson who's saying hi from Uganda. Thanks for supporting us. Charles said that your simulator ran nice. Lord Morbius was asking if you could have a monster with special powers as your avatar.
Okay, because now that possibly comes from last year, because as you went down the tiers, last year we had the tier 1 gladiators were all sorts of random monsters. There were basilisks that could turn people to stone. There was this demon that could kind of go a bit ghost-like and couldn't be hurt whilst it was in its ghost-like form, and so on. And then at tier 0, we had a donkey, which genuinely had no hope of winning. But the problem with doing that was there were 2 problems with doing that this year. By making them a playable low-tier thing, people wanted to have the random monsters because they were awesome. So they were letting their tiers run down, which meant we weren't getting so many donations. So we couldn't make them low-tiered. And of course, the other thing is they can't work with the equipment system. So what we've done instead is we've made the arena champions the monsters. Now, the champion represents the charity. And if the champion wins, the prize goes to the kids, because these kids are role players too, right? So we want to give them some stuff as well. And I always, the original idea behind doing this was I thought, well, if the champion wins some stuff, it was kind of keyed up so that if people weren't donating so much, the champion would win fights more often. So it was a way of making sure that whatever happened, the kids would win. They'd either get a load of stuff or they'd get some money. and as
That
it kind of
sounds
worked
good.
out, they kind of got both.
Right.
So this year, we thought let's just put all the crazy monsters in as the champions. And I've coded up, I believe it's 10 different things that can happen in the arena, and some of those have little variants as well. So yeah, look out for that.
That sounds cool. Yeah, I think that sounds great. You know, I don't know what I would prefer if I was going to this community center. Like, oh, a bunch of new games? Yeah. Or do we want to have the new table that we can sit at? Like,
Yeah. So well, I think with the success of last year, hopefully we can match the same, give them both. So I've actually made
yeah.
the gladiators a little bit stronger this year, but we
Okay.
did have this crazy thing happen during one of the Star Prize giveaways last year. It was a giveaway for heroic maps, who were very generous.
Yeah.
Their top prize was this $200 voucher for getting heroic maps. Now, I don't know if you've ever seen their stuff on drive-through, but they have so many maps.
Yes.
So for people who do like mini games, you just print them out and you've got these like really good quality art maps. Their top prize was $200 worth of these maps, which is a lot. And their second prize was $100 of these maps, which is still a lot. Well, the champion won both of those prizes. Well, that's a bit much. So what we've done, although I've made like the monsters are quite strong this year and they're going to win a lot of prizes, but they'll only win one from any one given sponsor.
Oh, okay. That makes sense.
So yeah, because like players can't do that either. Because once the gladiators won, they're stood on the roster and they can't sort of re-enter the fight.
Right. So it's just you, Jason, and then your friend Lloyd who run the charity? Not the charity, but the convention. Sorry.
The convention. We also we have Ronnie, and Lord Morbius is in the chat, has helped us. He puts together our we have this what do we call it? Can't remember. It's like a pack of like freebie stuff that we give to everyone on our mailing list. So if you sign up for the ConPlus mailing list, and I think
buddy.
we've
Go
emailed
inside.
that
I'm almost
once
done.
since
I
the
got
last
10 more
convention.
minutes.
We're going to do it twice more before the next con. So really, it's not like we
Buddy,
want to continue
I'm
to
doing
send you
something. I'll be
email.
in
We
just a minute.
generally just want to let you know when the next con is. But if you sign up for that after the convention, we send you twice, because we did this. We send you this email where you can download this huge pack
Go
of
inside,
stuff.
buddy.
Now, some
I'll
of
be
it
in
is
10
just free
minutes.
stuff you can
I'll
get
set up
anywhere,
the
but some
miniatures
of it
for
is
you.
exclusive to that pack. So Lord Morbius puts that together.
Oh, cool.
Ronnie, Lloyd, and Lord Morbius will be chat moderators this year.
Gotcha.
So they'll just be making sure it stays clean and so forth.
Sure. Okay.
But other than that, it's most of it does fall on me and Jason. So we do all the sponsor liaison, all the filming, all the editing, and then we're in the studio for 24 hours and we drag Lloyd in to help.
It sounds like a full-time job.
Yeah.
Trying to keep up with everything. Especially if you're getting, like today, 2 new sponsors and,
Yeah, if I wasn't in furlough, I don't think we could have put this together in 6 weeks. I really don't.
Right.
But, luckily, well, yeah.
Well, I'm glad it sounds like it's working out.
Yeah.
Obviously, the programming, too. So is that your normal job, programming?
Yes,
your day job?
I am a web/app developer within a film and TV studio.
Okay. So then you are well equipped to handle this.
I'm sorry?
So you are well equipped to handle the programming to get all this stuff done in time.
Yeah, from a technical side, sure. Yeah, I mean, it's what I know. I mean, I wrote my first line of code when I was 6 years old, would you believe?
Oh my goodness.
So
my son just came in here. He's 5 years old. He can't even read yet. We're working on reading right now still. So he hasn't started school either, but
that's pretty much how I learned to read. What my parents did, this is unfortunately it might age me, so please don't do the maths, anybody. But my parents, when I was young, my dad actually was very early recognized that computers were going to be a major thing. In fact, it cost him a job when he implemented a computer system into a factory he worked at, and the owner of the factory was like, "This is madness," and fired him. But he realized computers would be the future, and so he bought a ZX81, which was one of the first home computers.
Okay.
But what he did is he broke the connector to the tape deck, so that if we were going to play a game on this computer, we had to write it first.
Oh.
Right. So, and back then you used to be able to get these magazines where they'd have program code in, and I'd sit there and I'd type in the code from these magazines and type them into the computer and run it. And we had this unwritten rule in the house that if somebody had actually managed to get one of these things to work, that you left the computer on for about 2 weeks. But of course, quite often they didn't work. So, after typing this stuff in, I suppose I was learning by rote, and eventually figured out how to get them working, and then started creating my own stuff, and that's how I began.
That's trial and error. That's awesome.
Yeah, but my favorite thing, unfortunately, I spent about 10 years working in e-commerce, and a lot of what I have to do is basically just business software or that kind of stuff. But what I really love coding is 3D. That's when I am at my happiest. And I very fortunately last year did actually get to code a few 3D projects, which was really awesome. I even got to release a game earlier this year.
So are you like a freelancer for it, or?
No, I work for as I say, a film company, but they have this app department, but there's a lot of synergies, strangely enough, between the two, especially in the online space. There's a lot of people that want films done, but they want those films to be functional. And likewise, if you're working with a big 3D company, I was lucky enough last year to write a 3D engine for the world's biggest 3D company. A name probably not many people know, but if I told you they make the software that Pixar use,
cool.
and Disney, and and pretty much everyone else who does anything 3D uses their software. And I was lucky enough to be able to create this sort of 3D engine for them. And it was like, yeah, I'm actually coding 3D again. But there's so many, when you start doing 3D stuff, all of a sudden there's a use for all of these film people, because they spend their time making 3D graphics.
Right.
So if you're now suddenly doing 3D work, there's very few studios that can handle that kind of stuff. So oddly enough, the combination does work, even though it's quite a strange one. But yeah, that's so my job.
That's awesome. Yeah, I didn't know that. I was wondering, because you're talking about doing the coding. I'm like, she has to do something with this, like, as a job. There's no way. She's so skilled, and she did it so quickly. It seems like I couldn't imagine doing something like that, writing code while streaming for the thing that's about to happen, and then it works. Like, I can't imagine doing something like that.
Yeah, well, it wasn't ideal, because not only was I coding while streaming, but I'd been up 24 hours.
Right. So, yeah, I couldn't.
I wouldn't do that out of choice.
Yeah, no, I get it. I would be too distracted. Like, my son came in here and I had to mute the mic, and I'm like, hey, so like my focus, I'm very like on one thing. Otherwise, I can't focus on anything. So
yeah, well, in the perfect world, I will be doing no coding this year during the convention, which just to remind everyone is May 16th to May 17th, ConPlus.live.
Yes, ConPlus 3 coming up.
Yeah.
And it'll be on the Pair of Geeks YouTube channel, correct?
That's where we host the actual 24-hour stream. So yeah, but I will remember this year, hopefully, to update the homepage, because I actually forgot last year, and it was during the convention. So you haven't actually put the stream up on the homepage. I'm like, uh-oh. Something else that needs doing.
You just got to set an alert in your phone like an hour beforehand. Update homepage.
And the problem then, of course, was I was struggling to get on the site to make the change, because it was going down under the weight of traffic.
Yeah. Oh, I see a shadow. Is that Jason?
That is Jason, just emerging to get himself some water from the kitchen, I think.
So with all of this stuff going on, with how busy you are, where do you find time to even play your own games? I mean, you just seem like you're always working on stuff, like whether it's for the convention or your YouTube channel or...
Why would I play a game when I could write one? That's playing for me. My favorite thing in the whole world is writing graphic shaders.
Well, now I know that. I see a nice rack of games behind you.
Sorry, he's in earshot. My favorite thing in the whole world is Jason, but after that, it's writing graphic shaders.
Nice. Well, I know you have a ton of like miniatures and terrain because I've seen it on your channel before.
Yeah.
You know, and so I know you have to get that stuff out and play sometimes.
Oh, I see. Well, strangely enough, like most of that dates back to when I was single. So I think it's 14 dungeon sets of like themes type things. So I think I should go get one for you right now.
Yeah, go for it.
Hang on a moment.
So everybody, make sure you go over to the Pair of Geeks YouTube. Make sure you subscribe. They will be doing this convention May 16th through 17th for 24 hours. And oh, wow, that is so cool. That is so awesome.
Okay, I love this one. This one doesn't count because I didn't count this in a dungeon theme. This is just a castle that I built. I say built, I painted. So yeah.
Where'd you get that at?
This was the last ever of this particular model, although they do have a similar one that's not quite as big because the mold broke, so they can't make this anymore. But this is from a company called Thomarillion.de. They sponsored us last year, and it's quite heavy actually when you reaching over like that.
It sounds like it's a pretty solid piece too. Like it's sturdy.
It's made of hard foam, so it's all one piece.
Okay.
It was at the time the largest sort of role-playing-ish model ever made that I'm aware of, anyway. Like you compare that to a Maldrakar, which is the largest model that Reaper do.
Yes.
And and you put the two side by side. And I don't know if I can do this one-handed. Yes, just about.
Oh wow! Yeah.
So when you consider this is huge,
awesome.
This is a foot tall and a foot and a half wide. So it's a huge piece. But I love Thomarillion stuff. I don't know where to put this dragon now.
Sorry, that is so cool.
So my headphones are tangled over each other. It's fine. Okay, we'll worry about that later. So yeah, there's the one that I think Thomarillion is probably my favorite dungeon decor shop.
Yeah.
Because they've got all sorts of odd little bits that you can decorate your dungeons with. And the very first dungeon set I ever got was a Dwarven Forge set. So I kind of stumbled onto this whole hobby by accident. Because as I said, at the time I was single, and I was seeing these pictures online of this Dwarven Forge stuff. And I thought, I wouldn't, I like the idea of having a miniature dungeon. And I got a couple of old models. That dungeon looks really pretty. So I bought, I think, 8 sets of it to build a big dungeon out of. Painted it up in a weekend because I'm insane. I'm just going to let the cat out.
That would take me months to paint. I'm not a good painter, though. My wife is good at it.
No, but yeah, in this case, it was a bank holiday weekend, though, so I had 3 days.
Oh.
So painted up in a weekend. And I thought, oh, well, it doesn't actually look that great because it's got no decor. I'm going to need decor for this. I hadn't thought about that before. So I discovered this shop called Thomarillion and started ordering bits. And since then, I've got most of their fantasy catalogue
Nice.
and some stuff in duplicate. So yeah, I really do like their stuff. And I was very, very grateful that they helped sponsor us last year. Hoping to get them back this year.
That'd be awesome. So I do have to wrap up here soon, but is there anything else before we go that you want to say about ConPlus?
Well, what I'd say is, look, this year it's more urgent than ever before. As I say, the charity is facing a funding crisis. There's a very real possibility that it could be closing in a few weeks' time if we don't take action. And right now, it is the only lifeline that is available to some of the poorest people in the world. We think about how lockdowns affected us, and it has made life difficult in some cases, and yes, it can be economically difficult and so on. But these are people that were economically disadvantaged to begin with. They're now starving. And the only lifeline some of these people have got is this charity. And if we don't take action, we're not just, you know, going to watch these people die, but these people are gamers. You know, a lot of the children that this charity are saving are role players.
Mm-hmm.
Their favorite games are 5e and Pathfinder, right? They're our community. They are part of us. And nobody else is going to step up. It's up to us. So please, if you can, please do help.
And you can support the charity directly by going over to the ConPlus website, which the link is Becky, go ahead.
ConPlus.live, ConPlus.live. If you make a donation there, it goes directly into the PayPal account of the charity itself. And here's a little bonus, right? If you create an account first and you log in when you do it, you'll get a little bit of virtual currency for your donation, 100 denarii for every pound you donate, that you can use to upgrade your gladiator and start decorating it with custom bits.
That's awesome. Excellent. Well, thank you again, Becky, for coming on. And all of you guys out there, again, go over there, support the charity. Go check out ConPlus on May 16th and 17th. Tons of prizes. A lot of prizes you will want yourself. So, and you can watch your gladiator fight and possibly beat me.
I have to say, right, for the last years, because the event actually isn't that big an event,
right,
but we somehow get support from so many people in the industry. I genuinely have been sending huge boxes of prizes out to people who tuned in, because the people who tune in tend to stay watching the whole thing and they win a load. Right. So you could get a ton of stuff, and it's for a good cause.
Right. Exactly. So thanks again, guys, and we'll see you guys next time. Oh, is there anything else you want to plug before we go? Just that?
No. I really just want to plug the charity and the convention. Whilst I've got to let the cat in again.
Do you guys have a Twitter or a Facebook page or things like that to go to?
Yeah, there's unfortunately it's Jason who knows the details for all of those, but there is a ConPlus 3 Facebook page. There is a Twitter account.
Okay. So go search for it. You'll find it, I'm sure, somewhere.
But yeah, none of my other projects matter when I sort of put it next to this. So
I gotcha. Excellent. Well, thanks you again, and we'll see you guys.